Welcome to Smiley Finance, where money talks are simple, smart, and life-changing. In this video, we're going to talk about the 5 most important financial mistakes to avoid in your 20s. Your 20s are some of the most important financial years of your life, not because you'll necessarily make the most money during this decade, but because the decisions you make in your 20s can quietly shape your financial future for the next 40 years. That's the scary part. Most people don't realize they're making life-changing financial decisions while they're still young. And unfortunately, many people only understand their mistakes later, when fixing them becomes much harder. Now, here's the truth nobody tells young people clearly enough. Most financial mistakes in your 20s don't look dangerous at first. In fact, many of them feel normal. Everyone else is doing them, social media normalizes them, friends encourage them, society celebrates them. But over time, these normal habits quietly become financial traps. Debt grows, savings disappear, stress increases, and suddenly people wake up at 35 wondering why they still feel financially unstable despite working hard for years. That's why this video matters, because avoiding a few major mistakes early in life can completely change your future financially. Not overnight, but gradually. And honestly, financial success is usually built more through avoiding major mistakes than making perfect decisions. So today, we're going to break down the 5 most important financial mistakes to avoid in your 20s. Not unrealistic advice, not fake guru nonsense, just real financial truths that could save you years of stress later in life. And the first mistake is probably the most dangerous one of all. Mistake number 1. Trying to look rich before becoming financially stable. This destroys more young people financially than almost anything else. And social media has made this problem much worse. Because today, many people in their 20s feel enormous pressure to appear successful immediately. Luxury fashion, expensive cars, fancy vacations, designer lifestyles, perfect apartments. And because everyone online seems to be winning, many young people start believing they're behind in life financially before their lives have even fully started. That pressure becomes expensive, very expensive, because people begin spending money emotionally instead of intentionally. They buy things to impress others, to fit in, to feel successful, to avoid feeling left behind. And honestly, many people don't even realize how much of their spending is driven by insecurity. That's the dangerous part. Now, here's something important to understand. Looking wealthy and being wealthy are completely different things. Someone can look successful online and secretly be drowning in debt. Meanwhile, someone living modestly may quietly be building real financial stability. Real wealth is often invisible. Savings, investments, low debt, financial freedom. But social media rewards visible spending instead. And this creates a culture where appearances matter more than actual financial health. That's why many people in their 20s begin financing lifestyles they cannot truly afford. Car loans, credit card debt, buy now, pay later systems, luxury purchases. And slowly they trap themselves financially trying to maintain an image. The problem is that once lifestyle inflation begins early, it becomes incredibly difficult to reverse later because expensive habits become emotionally normal. Now, here's the truth. Your 20s are not the decade to focus on looking rich. They are the decade to build foundations, skills, savings, investments, financial discipline. Because the people who quietly sacrifice appearances early often gain much more freedom later. Now let's move to mistake number 2, ignoring investing because you're still young. This mistake costs people enormous amounts of money long term. Not because investing itself is magical, but because time is incredibly powerful financially. Most young people underestimate compounding completely. And honestly, that's understandable because compounding feels invisible at first. Small investments don't look impressive early, but over decades, consistent investing can grow dramatically. The problem is that many people delay starting. They think, I'll invest later when I make more money. but later often turns into years, and years matter enormously financially. Someone who starts investing small amounts at 22 may end up with far more wealth than someone investing much larger amounts starting at 35. Why? Because time compounds growth. This is one reason your 20s matter so much financially. Not because you'll have huge amounts of money immediately, but because small decisions made consistently during this decade can massively impact the future. Now, this doesn't mean young people should obsess over investing aggressively while ignoring life completely. That's not the point. The point is learning the habit early, understanding money early, developing consistency early. Because financial habits become harder to build later if people spend years living without structure. Now here's another problem. Many people in their 20s think investing is only for wealthy people. That's false. Investing is often how ordinary people slowly build wealth over time. But unfortunately, many schools never explain this clearly. So young adults spend years consuming everything they earn instead of allowing money to grow gradually. And the cost of lost time financially can become enormous later. Now let's move to mistake number 3. Accumulating bad debt carelessly. This is one of the fastest ways to destroy financial freedom early in life. Now, not all debt is equally dangerous, but consumer debt becomes especially destructive when combined with emotional spending. Credit cards, luxury financing, impulse purchases, high-interest loans, these things quietly steal future income. And many young adults underestimate how psychologically dangerous that can become. At first, monthly payments feel manageable. Then more payments appear. Then more financial pressure increases slowly. And suddenly, a large percentage of income already belongs to lenders before paychecks even arrive. That creates stress, massive stress. One of the biggest lies modern culture promotes is this: if you can afford the monthly payment, you can afford it. That's dangerous thinking, because affordability is not just about monthly payments, it's about long-term financial stability. Many people in their 20s lock themselves into expensive lifestyles far too early, and once fixed expenses become high, freedom decreases dramatically. Now, emergencies become terrifying, job changes become risky, savings become difficult. This is why avoiding unnecessary debt early is so powerful, because flexibility matters enormously financially. The less financial pressure you carry, the more choices you have later. Now, here's another important truth. Many people in their 20s use debt emotionally. They spend money to cope with stress, insecurity, loneliness, comparison, and social media intensifies this constantly. That's why emotional discipline matters financially, a lot. Now let's move to mistake number 4, choosing lifestyle over skill development. This mistake is incredibly common in your 20s. Many young people focus heavily on consumption before focusing enough on increasing value. And honestly, your 20s are one of the best decades to invest in yourself. Skills, communication, technology, sales, business knowledge, leadership, financial education. These skills can increase income potential for decades. But unfortunately, many people prioritize temporary luxury instead: expensive entertainment, constant partying, status spending. And while enjoying life matters, ignoring self-development can become very costly later. Because the modern economy rewards valuable skills aggressively. The more useful your abilities become, the more opportunities usually create financially. And unlike material possessions, skills continue producing value over time. Now, here's another reason this matters. Many people in their 20s underestimate how quickly time moves. A few years of consistent learning can completely change someone's financial future. But a few years of distraction can also delay progress significantly. And social media has made distraction constant. Endless scrolling, entertainment overload, comparison, digital addiction, all quietly stealing time that could build future opportunities. Now let's move to mistake number 5, living without a financial plan. This is more dangerous than people realize, because without direction, money disappears very easily. Most people don't intentionally destroy their finances. They drift financially. They spend randomly, save inconsistently, react emotionally, and years pass without clear financial progress. Now, this doesn't mean young people need perfect 5-year plans immediately. Life changes constantly, But basic financial direction matters enormously. Knowing your goals, tracking spending, building savings, understanding priorities. These things create awareness, and awareness changes behavior. Many people avoid financial planning because it feels restrictive. But honestly, financial structure often creates more freedom, not less. Because when people understand where money is going, they make calmer decisions. Now, here's another important point. Your 20s are often financially messy. That's normal. Mistakes will happen. Nobody handles money perfectly early in life. The goal is not perfection. The goal is avoiding the major traps that create long-term damage. And honestly, most financially successful people aren't perfect with money either. They simply avoided enough destructive habits long enough for good habits to compound. Now here's perhaps the most important truth in this entire video. Your 20s are less about becoming instantly rich and more about becoming financially intelligent, learning discipline, learning patience, learning emotional control, learning how money actually works. Because once those foundations become strong, future financial growth becomes much easier. But without those foundations, even high income later can disappear quickly. And finally, understand this. Financial success is not about impressing people online. It's about building a life with less stress, more freedom, and more control over your future. And the decisions you make in your 20s quietly shape that future far more than most people realize.
If this video helped you see money differently, subscribe for more videos about financial freedom, investing, wealth psychology, and building a better future one decision at a time.